Hello. Welcome to our Writing 121 class. As you know, this module is talking about writing reviews. And you've already read several reviews and you've seen how the best reviews are based on criteria. So, I wanted to kind of talk with you and just sort of get your minds thinking about the kinds of items that you might like to review. So all of the reviews that you've read so far about simple items, and that's the best way to start developing our ability to figure out what criteria goes into, do we use to evaluate an item. Okay, so this is a very simple form of evaluation. Later writing assignments, you might be asked to evaluate vastly more complicated things than, say, some glue. This says Elmer's. And this is the glue that you already read a review on. It happened to just be sitting here, and I wrote that review for you so that you can see. And the criteria used was stickiness and how well does it present, and how does it compare price-wise to other items that are like it? How easily does it come out? You may choose to review something else and you'll have to think, okay, well, am I going to use the style of the item? Basically, this section of the class is asking you to slow down and look really clearly at items and things that you may have not really broken down. Let's take a look at something else. This is actually two things, okay? What it is it's an iPhone hidden inside of a case. So if you were going to be reviewing something like this, you would want to choose one thing or the other. Can't review both together. So let's just talk about the case, because trust me, the simpler item to review would be the case. There are fewer criteria associated with the case than there are with an iPhone, which does almost everything. But this particular case, this is the OtterBox case. So what makes an OtterBox case special, or what would we expect from any case? All right, what's the first thing you think? You think. Okay, I'm thinking. All right, okay. Can't really hear each other. So I'm going to just pretend that you said, okay, the number one thing that we want from a case for a delicate piece of expensive technology is for it to protect. All right. Well, I happen to say that I own this case and it's battered. This case is messed up. Look, you can see, can you see where it has fallen so hard that the case is broken? Not my phone, which is awesome because it turns out this case is extraordinarily protective. So that would be the first criteria that I would talk about in a review. And also I need to also mention, a little bit of a digression here, but as you start your reviews, always talk about how you are familiar with the item. It's not a digression, it's just kind of going back, a regression. Because earlier in your review, you want to talk about how familiar you are with the item that you're reviewing, and then you want to make a statement about your overall opinion of it. Is it excellent? Is it so-so? Does it have good parts and bad parts? Does it stink? Is it dreadful? Okay, so it turns out were I to review this OtterBox, I would say that it was awesome. It's an excellent, excellent case. There's nothing that I particularly dislike about it. I could find things that I dislike about it. If I wanted to make a truly balanced review, I could search. But it's my opinion that if you aim in your reviews, and this is part of the criteria for writing the reviews in this class, that you reach a minimum of 200 words. So that's roughly about a page typed. Reach a minimum of 200 words and divide your sections into useful criteria. So as I was saying, I would say in this one, I would talk about how I know this case. I purchased it. and that I've used it a great deal, that it has fallen from very high heights, that I have been running very fast with it, that I've been skateboarding with it, and it has fallen out of my hands because I'm foolish. I could say some of those things, and I could even bring up personal anecdotes while I'm talking about relevant criteria, whichever criteria happens to relate to some little story that I want to tell. This part of our writing classes, your writing reviews, really invites you to bring in your stories about things into these reviews. So, okay, so one of the things that I would talk about if I were to talk about, I would say that the styling of this particular case is really interesting because it has a rubber casing outside of like a hard plastic casing, which is probably engineering-wise why it works so well. Why it is just incredibly protective of it. I would say that I would say on the easy to clean side, not the easiest thing to clean. It has little nooks and crannies that things get into, and you have to take it off. It is not easy to pull the hard piece that I just showed you off. It's not easy to do that. Luckily, you don't have to do it terribly often, although you do have to clean underneath this film that they have on the front, and so I'd have to kind of really think about my experience with it and get into it. I will say that I am particularly amazed at how well it protects from water. I live in Oregon, and this phone has been rained on many, many times, and it has always been protected. It is a remarkable case. It's just a great case. I'm not trying to sell it to you. And as you write reviews, remember, you're not trying to sell things. You're just trying to talk about them authentically and to find criteria. So another criteria that I might use is that the feel of it allows it in a average daily use, it does not slip out of my hands usually. If I happen to be riding a skateboard in the rain, then it will fly out of my hands. But under normal use, the rubber doesn't allow it to slip. So I've only gone over a few criteria there for the items that you review. Hopefully you're going to pick 5. That's our magic number. Pick 5 criteria. Now, I want to talk about, let's see, I've talked about glue and I talked about that case. That's particularly simple. Those are 2 simple items. Now, some of you may have complex tastes, like, for instance, video games. I would read some video games before I dove in there to review them at some website that you discover that takes consumer video game reviews. The criteria, what are the criteria for video games? Well, I literally have to think like you. You just have to pause and think. All right, what are the criteria I want? I want a video game to be exciting. I want it to have an interesting story. This turns out to be one of my favorite video games, and it has an incredibly interesting story. I think as you're writing, since if you're going to write about a complicated video game that has a narrative in it, don't spoil it. And those of you that are watching this video that know this, there is like a big spoiler that could happen somewhere about 60% into the game that has to do with John Marston here. Try not to spoil big, don't spoil it for other people. Just say it's a complicated storyline where the unexpected happens. And that may be a good thing for you. Or I could see some people writing a review about this game and saying, the unexpected thing that happened, not terribly excellent, but I stayed with the game anyway, and it came to a satisfying conclusion. You could say those kind of things. So as I was saying, exciting. Oh, gameplay. So gameplay. This game actually has some very good gameplay. It's very intuitive, easy to control. Those are the kinds of things that I would say. They make some great choices. I can't remember what they call their fast shooting Deadeye. They have a Deadeye option here, which makes it pretty easy to shoot just about anything from any distance. There are puzzles. So that would be an entirely other criterion. I have to say there was one puzzle in here that stymied me. I was able to finish the game, but there was one puzzle. I could go back and try that puzzle again, but Icarus's Flight or something like that. It was just too tedious. And I might mention something like that some of the puzzles turned out to not be worth it, that you had to do too much to get the puzzle, and I wanted to get on with the story, so I was unable to finish at least one of the puzzles associated with this. There are other things that you wouldn't want to spend. You don't necessarily have to spend time talking about packaging. You could, if the packaging was really unique. It's not. Oh, I would talk about the fact that this came with an awesome wall map, which is on a wall. You know, that would be something that you want to, any kind of special things about it, you would want to include. So I hope that this video has kind of invited you, or been an invitation for you, to choose items to review in the next assignments. So as you see the next assignments, hopefully this video has helped prepare you to dive into some of these other consumer websites, or even to just do the reviews that you're submitting to the assessment coordinator here. Good. I hope you're having fun with this, and we'll carry on.